Hey everybody, this is Dave Workman from Vista Elks Lodge coming to you with another conversation. Yesterday I had the honor of having some time on Zoom with Rick Rathbun, and this video is that conversation. We touched on all kinds of subjects, and I think you're going to enjoy the conversation, so here it is. Okay, Rick, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Unusual amount of rain for Vista.
I know, remember it was about, a year and a half ago in April, we had a whole bunch of rain for a few days.
Uh-huh.
Remember we had that side the back parking lot, the hill on the
Oh, we
started
had a
coming down.
mudslide. I remember that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think hopefully they've got it taken care of. I guess we'll find out when the next couple of days.
Could go again, but after today.
So when I first came to the lodge, this is some 3 years ago when I joined. You were the first person that came up to me, introduced yourself, and just kind of made me feel like I was at home. Then you started introducing me to other people. When did you take on this role as the welcome wagon at the lodge?
Uh, when I first became a member, I always wondered what that building was up on the hill and what went on there. And then one day I was at the American Legion in Encinitas, and I met Bill Vance. And I started asking him about it, and he invited me up there. And so my wife and I went up there and met him and his wife for a Sunday breakfast. And of course, he signed me up. And then I didn't hear anything. I figured they were processing my application. Well, months went by, but I still kept coming on up to the lodge because I enjoyed the people so much. And then,
Okay, that was weird. Power went out at our place here in Carlsbad. It hasn't been all that windy, but I guess just enough. And then because we have solar, it came back on. I think we're good for the rest of the conversation, so we'll keep moving forward. You were telling me that Bill Vance is a family friend.
no, he was a friend of a friend. That's how I met him. I
Yeah.
ran into him at the American Legion in Encinitas, and that's how it all started for me.
How long ago was that?
About 10, 11 years ago.
Oh, okay. And you've done a lot at the lodge. You were a trustee when I joined.
Right.
At least for a while, you were a club manager, Elk of the Year. What else have you done there?
Night.
Oh, you were. Which one?
Uh, Lecturing and loyal.
Well, good for you. Good for you. So, if we go back, where are you from? Where did you? Are you a transplant here, or were you born and raised in Southern
Born
California?
and raised in San Diego. Uh, I first came to Vista in the 60s when my dad was with the sheriff's department. He was resident detective for the area, and we moved up here. And then he got transferred, and I ended up growing up in Poway. And then about 30 years ago, I came back when I met my wife.
Oh,
So
okay, very cool. And by the way, that's your mom in the background. You want to introduce her real quick?
it's my mom, Lamora. Say hi, Mom.
Hello. So, all right. So you were born and raised in San Diego. There's not very many of you.
Yes, sir.
It seems like everyone here is a transplant from somewhere else.
Pretty much, yeah. But I love it here. Never wanted to leave, and this where I'll stay.
Yeah, very good. Now, when you were also with the San Diego Police Department, is that right?
No, I retired from the probation department. Uh, Prior to that, I worked at the sheriff's office. And I retired out of the courthouse in Vista in 2002.
And
And
what did you do there?
I was a probation supervisor. I had an intensive supervision unit, and we would go out in the field and go after the really bad guys, the violent offenders, the sex offenders, the domestic violence cases, the people that really needed to have a close eye kept on. And then right before I retired, they made me interim division chief of North County, and was offered that job permanently, but they came out with a really good retirement, so I had to leave.
So when you were doing that, are these people that had already been convicted?
Right.
No.
They were on probation.
Oh, they were on probation. Okay. And so you must have come across some people who really tried to hide from you and whatever, right?
Yeah. My unit supervised all the sex offenders. And we would go in and we would take their computers and send them off to the FBI so we could see what they were looking at online. And a lot of times there was new child pornography on there. And of course we would arrest them and take them to jail. And with a violation like that, they'd usually go off where they belong to prison. So.
To what degree would people go to get away from you or hide from you or go underground?
Well, they really couldn't do that. If they did, we put out a warrant for them. But I remember one of the things we used to do is we did a lot of drug testing. You know, back in those days, methamphetamine was a huge problem in North County, and we would drug test them all the time. In fact, I run a program right over by the lodge called Probationers in Recovery, and we would test those guys all the time, and they would try so many different ways. They give us fake urine and stuff like that, so their tests would turn out clean, but they'd get caught and we'd just arrest them on the spot for that.
Well, I don't even want to know how they got fake urine.
You can buy it on the internet. It's crazy.
You could buy it online?
Yeah.
But then you got to like warm it up and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's devices, you can buy devices that look like the real deal, and you think they're peeing, but they're not.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty sophisticated, some of the stuff they would come up with.
Suddenly I feel like I've led such a sheltered life. I don't know what half this stuff is. Wow. So were you ever injured or did you have any close calls when you were chasing these people down?
Yeah, a couple times. Probably one of the jobs, when I worked for the sheriff's office, I worked in the old county jail. And then when I became a probation officer, I was originally out in the honor camps. And when I got promoted, I had to go to juvenile hall. That's where you encounter violence every day. I mean, gang kids, it's usually like breaking up fights and stuff. I got into this habit. We would serve the kids their meals, and you learn to eat real fast, because as soon as the eating was done, that's when the stuff would go down. That's when the kids would fight and everything. But I broke a couple ribs, no big deal, in a couple instances. So
what are the ages in juvenile?
Usually, normally it's up to 17, but you get some kids that are 18 that are waiting to be tried as adults or waiting for a trip to the youth authority, who we would keep them segregated.
It was there. I would imagine there would be the attempt to rehabilitate these kids so they wouldn't go on to be lifelong criminals, right? I mean, was that effective?
To an extent. I mean, not so much in juvenile hall, but when I worked in the boys camps, there was that effort made, and I'm happy to say I actually saw it be successful. In fact, one kid, I love to tell this story. I had this kid at juvenile hall, and he was a thug. He was head of the Deep Valley Crips in Oceanside, but he was very pro staff. And me and another staff member kind of took him under our wings and would talk to him every day. Well, he went off to the youth authority. I think he was about 15 then. And then years later, I'm working in personnel. I'm doing background investigations and internal affairs. And this kid comes walking in. They used to call us coach, and he's going, "Hey, coach, you remember me?" Of course I do. He goes, "I'd like to become a probation officer." And I kind of laughed, and I'm going, "Sure, with your background." He goes, "Honest, coach, I haven't been in trouble since then. I'm working at Camp Pendleton. I'm married. I got a kid." Guess what? He hadn't been in trouble since then. He got hired and is now a retired probation officer.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
That's a great story. So, yeah, that's one you like to hear.
Yeah, you see that once in a while. And when you see the guys that you had in custody or had on probation on the streets, they are so happy to see you. It's like a long lost friend whenever I have those encounters.
Really? When they're not on probation anymore, obviously.
Right. I can tell you, what they did.
Wow. I don't know how Did you have a problem taking the emotional part home with you? Because I don't know how you deal with that kind of emotion, especially when they're kids.
Yeah, yeah, it's difficult. It's very stressful. Uh, it's like, you go into work and you're going to have to deal with a serious issue almost every day. There's going to be a physical confrontation. You're going to have to arrest somebody. Uh, that happens every day, and you just kind of get used to it.
Yeah, I don't know how a person gets used to something like that, but it takes a special kind of person, I guess.
Oh,
But how did you get into that line of work? I mean, did you study? Did they teach that in college? Where do you
yeah.
study?
Well, I got out of high school early, and I was going to Palomar by the time I was 16.
Palomar College. Yeah.
Yeah, taking criminal justice. And my father was a deputy sheriff his whole life and retired as a sheriff's lieutenant. So and a lot of other people in my family were in law enforcement. So it was an easy transition for me because I hear their stories, and that piqued my interest and go, oh, this sounds like fun.
Well, that makes a whole lot of sense on how that thread kind of moved into your life. So now at the lodge, you do the investigations when someone supplies, when someone puts in an application, right?
Right. One of my jobs at probation was, said earlier, I was a background investigator. And years ago, we had problems with a couple of people we let join who we shouldn't have because of their backgrounds. And the lodge was considering hiring somebody to do it. And I says, I'll do it, since I had 8 years experience. And we don't screen many people out, but I tell you, the ones we do, we're saving ourselves a lot of trouble.
Right. And I think there's a lot of members who don't know what the process is when someone submits an application. Do you want to illuminate us a little bit?
Sure. Basically, I take the application, I bring it home, I get on a computer, I do a local records check. I check for, I of course run them through the National Sex Offender Registry. Given that we have Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts up at the
right.
lodge, we want to make sure they're not that kind of person. And I do a nationwide check on them as well, about where they've lived, if they've been arrested somewhere outside San Diego County. It's pretty easy for me to tell if they're a lifelong resident here. The background's real easy to do. But,
yeah. Is that common for most lodges to go through that level of investigation?
That I don't know. I know that Oceanside Lodge just started doing it. So I've been getting calls from them about how to do it. And I've been working with them.
Right. So if you're an Elk and you're not from Vista and you want to know more about this is the guy to call.
Right.
He does it for us. Just go and leave a comment. Say, I'd love to talk to Rick about investigations at our lodge. I don't know if I just did you a favor or not, Rick, but
I'm working with Camellia Young over at the Oceanside Lodge.
Yeah, right. Yeah, nice lady. Yeah.
Great lady.
Yeah, she's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
So when you were an Elk knight, when you were a knight lecturing in Loyal, I think you said, right. Was that the first area you volunteered at, or were there others?
No, the first thing I did when I became an Elk, that RV park had no sewer or electricity to, I think only 1 or 2 spots had it. And when I joined, it was, like I said, over 10 years ago. So I was in my late 50s. So I was probably one of the younger guys around back then. So Brenda put me to work, our former ER, out there digging ditches and trenching. And we got all that sewer and electric put in. That was the first big thing I did. So.
Wow. Okay. So it wasn't nearly as developed as it is now. Of course, we got the swim bar and the patio and such.
Oh, it's beautiful now.
Yeah. Oh, it's gorgeous. But before that, there was a time that it didn't even have power then.
Right. There was just, they had the water and that was it. They were basically dry camping. Of course, we have a dump station that they would use before they'd leave. But
how long has the RV park been there?
That I don't know.
Been there quite a while then.
Yeah, I'm sure it has. But the last 5 years, man, has it made great strides.
My parking spot is right there at the entrance where people leave from the RV park to go into the lodge, that
Right.
walkway there. And that's where my parking spot is. And so a lot of times when I'm parking during the day, I'll go in and into the RV park area. And when I see people sitting around, as they do, they got their patio chairs or whatever out there, their little folding chairs, and they'll get together as groups because they come in as groups many times. And I'll just walk over there and I'll say, "Hey, how you doing? Are you enjoying the RV park? And do you know what's happening the rest of the day today and tomorrow? Just so you'll know when our lodge is open, etc." I'll just be there and be friendly. And when they find out, because I don't tell them I'm the ER. I just try and be friendly. I'm not trying to push me. I'm just trying to say, "Hey, welcome to our RV park." But when they find out I'm ER, then I hear all these stories of how much they love our RV park, and they've come from various places around the United States. They know of Vista Lodge. They come to Vista Lodge regularly in some cases from all over the country. So it's quite a thing that members and the trustees specifically in past years recently have put together. I don't know whose idea that was from the beginning. I should have asked Paul Eckert in the previous video, whose idea was it to put
Do
the
the
RV
RV
park
park?
in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
And he was great to talk to. He's got a wealth of information.
well, I'm sure.
So yeah. So that's nice to hear all these people talk about your RV park in such glowing ways. And so for anyone who's watching this, if you had anything to do with it, your work is much appreciated. So then you were lecturing in Loyal.
Right.
Do you have any desire to go to leading night?
No, I thought about it. What happened with me is I took the club manager job after I was trustee, and then the pandemic hit. I had my mom over at Arcadia Place, and they wouldn't even let me in to see her. So I moved her in with me, and so my time's pretty well tied up with her right now.
Wow. So you were thinking of possibly, it would cross your mind to possibly be leading
Right.
either just before or after club manager. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought after you were trustee that you were just kind of done with being officer of any kind for a while.
Well, I was, and now that was part of the reason, is caring for my mom.
Sure, of course. Yeah, and you do all sorts of things around the lodge. You're willing to step in. You can go into the kitchen and cook. You can go behind the bar and help there. You're everywhere around that place.
It's tough knowing where everything's at and how to do it. So,
well, how did you learn? How did you learn to just go into the kitchen and start doing? Have you had any background in food prep?
No, none at all. And I love to cook though. So once I figured out where everything was at in that kitchen, it was pretty easy. I mean, I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I cook at home,
Right.
but I'm kind of overwhelmed in a professional kitchen because when I cook at home, I'll do like a cup of this and 2 cups of that,
Right.
not like 3 gallons of this and, a gallon and a half of that. And I don't know how it's all going to work out when you do it. How did you cross that bridge?
Well, we have some great teachers up there. You got Steve Shaw, and his son Bart was the chef at the time when I started cooking. And of course, James, he's always helpful. And yeah, so it was easy for me to get in there and learn. And then you start experimenting, doing stuff. One of the things I like to do is thin slice onions, and then deep fry them. So you have real thin cut onion rings. Those are really good. I haven't done that in a while, but I will soon.
I don't know that I've tried those. I've tried your chips. No, you did some chips, didn't you? Potato chips?
Probably. Oh yeah. Yeah, I did potato chips, the fresh cut fries. And that's a process, that takes a day or so to get those right.
English muffin and what?
Sweet potatoes. Excuse me.
So what prompts you to go into the kitchen now? What is it, just the need, or do you just say to Sandra, hey, I want to get into the kitchen and try something, of which I know she would say yes.
Yeah, normally it's they ask me to come in and cook. Hey, can you cover Saturday? Can you help Sunday? That sort of thing. Now that we have somebody to cover Saturday, I'm available to help whenever now, because I don't have it. I used to have a definite day I would go in every time.
Right. And on Saturdays, Ben Novak's there like every
Right.
Saturday, pretty much.
Oh,
right?
he's awesome. You need to do a YouTube with him.
I'd love to. I asked him if he does Zoom, and he says he doesn't. So I'm not sure what the workaround is, but I would love to do a Zoom conversation with Ben.
Well, he knows where I live, so he can come over here and do it. Just tell him that.
Will you help me set that up? Because I'm sure he
absolutely.
has stories for days.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure he does. What a great guy, though. And he's there every Saturday to help.
Yeah, he's. I know at least on my watch, he's been Elk of the Month and such. Just to recognize it, because he likes to do it. It seems like he likes to do it quietly behind the scenes.
Right.
Doesn't toot his horn. Just he just wants to help.
Right.
So what's in the future?
Don't know. I plan to remain active in the lodge. I love the place. It's all about the people up there, you know. We got over 1,000 members now, right?
Oh yeah, over 1,000 members. Last time I was like 1,035 or something like that.
And you got all those people, and there's not one person there who I dislike.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, oh, these people are awesome. They're so welcoming, so engaging.
They really are.
And
You know, it's tough. It's difficult being the ER because no matter what decision I make, there's, you know, you can't please everybody. There's going to be someone who likes it, someone who doesn't. And so that tends to fog your perception of how things are working. So I know when I first joined, that was, I just loved every bit of it, and actually I still do. And then here in about I don't know 15 weeks, I'll be handing over the reins, and I'm looking forward to that time again where I can just meet people without either them or I having any kind of agenda. Sometimes when I go up to talk to somebody, they think I'm going up to them to say, hey, we need some help with this, can you help out? Or they come up to me and I'm, you know, they might come up and say, you know, my soup's too cold, you know, or something, you know. But when you don't have that the title of exalted ruler and you're, you know, a plain old elk, well, you're PER, so I don't know that I'll ever be a plain old elk again. But when you don't have that agenda, hidden agenda or obvious agenda in front of you, you can just go up and start talking to people, and I'm looking forward to that.
Good.
Now that's my perspective. I don't know if that's good or bad or right or wrong. It just seems that sometimes when I see someone, I make some eye contact moving in their direction because I just want to say hi. They're like ducking out on me. they're running the opposite direction. No. But I just want to, I like people. And that's why I joined. I joined the lodge because I like people and I wanted to get to know people and I wanted to be around like-minded people. And the Elks has been all that for me.
Yeah.
And the flip side of being an officer, being especially ER, is that I've met so many people at other lodges. And that to me is just rich. When you can go to a state or midterm or Grand Lodge, or district meetings. We got one coming up, I think, on Saturday morning. And you can hang around these people from other lodges, which you would not have met most likely unless you were an officer or just showed up at their lodge. That to me is where the fun is, and that where the richness is. And I can show up at any lodge in our district now and just drop in as I have at Encinitas and some other lodges. And the bartender at Tim over at Encinitas, I mean, he knows me by name. So it's kind of nice.
Cool. Yeah.
I love that part of it. I remember, I know this is a conversation with you. I should be talking with you and letting you talk.
I feel the same about the other lodges. You know, I just everywhere I go, I feel so welcome.
Right. I know that when I first became an officer and I was hanging around Tom Smith for something, we went somewhere, I think, oh, it was midterm and I had just become leading night from chaplain. Boy, that's a jump. And I was hanging around him during midterm and he knew everybody seemingly in Sacramento where midterm was. It's like he knew everybody. And I said, how do you do that? He says, well, if you're in it long enough, you'll get to know people. And sure enough, I've not been in it near as long as he has, just 3 years. But I know people from lodges that are outside of our district. And I'm looking forward to getting to know more people like that. So
Yes.
when you travel, you've gone to other lodges, right?
Yeah, I've been to, like if I go to San Diego Lodge, there's always 4 or 5 people in there that I know. I've been to lodges down south, East Coast, and it's always the same sort of people as our lodge. Very friendly, welcoming. They don't want you to leave, which feels good.
So that's just an Elks dynamic. No matter what
Yeah.
lodge you go to anywhere in the country, you're around.
Seems to be very common.
Yeah, like-minded people, as I said.
Right.
Yeah. What other lodges have you been in the state?
In this state,
Yeah.
let me think. I've been to San Diego, El Cajon, Oceanside, Encinitas, of course. Been to a few in Arizona and Nevada, and then some back east, of course.
Right. Now we're open a lot. When you're traveling, is it hard to find an Elks Lodge that's open?
No, they seem to be open, but the level of activity isn't the same. You know, they don't have the dinners with the full menu like we do a number of nights each week. It's very limited. They'll fix one thing for lunch, and that's it. That seems to be the case for dinner as well.
Right. One thing that we talked about at a house committee meeting is the food and beverage part of our lodge, F&B, is really one of the main drivers of the membership growth that we've had.
That and RV park.
Yeah, that and the RV park for sure. But you know, you take a look at we're right now $114.50 a year as membership, and if you're only open a couple of days a week, it's like, well, why am I paying $114 a year? But when you can go almost any time, well, right now we're open 7 days a week in some way or another. When you can go pretty much any time, it helps drive membership, and we've seen that in our numbers. And the House committee has voted to move toward having paid cooks every day of the week, so we can maintain that. We can stay open.
I think that's a good idea.
So who have you volunteered? I know you did a lot of work with Myra, right?
A little bit. I went to the veterans stand down this year. I worked with her on other stuff as well, but that just comes to mind.
Right. She's going to be one of my next conversations because she has a wealth of history at the lodge. Who are some of your other people that you've worked with, or some that are not with us that you miss, or what have you? What other people come to mind at the lodge?
Hank DiTomaso, of course. He was like a father figure to me. And of course, I miss Cowboy Dave and Fast Eddie Gallagher. Yeah, they were there every day. And, miss them a lot.
I've heard of Hank many times from a lot of people. He was well loved, and I guess I just missed him by, I don't know, maybe a month or so. He passed just before I joined, and I wish I would have gotten to know him.
He had a heart of gold, I tell you.
Yeah, and he and Nancy traveled a lot, right?
Yeah, until they settled at the lodge, then they didn't want to leave.
Well, that's when they took over Purple Pig?
Yeah, and they did a terrific job at that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. And Nancy's still there every day. She's, half the lodge calls her mom.
Right.
But they left quite the legacy, especially where Purple Pig is concerned. So that's a wonderful thing. So when he didn't pass away at the lodge, did he?
I'm trying. I don't believe he did. No.
Yeah.
Cowboy Dave did.
Oh, he did. Yeah, because wasn't he in the RV park, right?
Right. Right. I actually I found him.
Oh, you did.
You know, he wouldn't eat much, so Cap and I would take him food up once in a while, and she made some pumpkin bread and found him there. He apparently fell down in the stairwell of his RV, so I called him Spirit.
So what was he like?
Cowboy Dave.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, he was like Hank, very generous, heart of gold, do anything for you. He's just that kind of guy.
Yeah, I never met him either. So like I said, I'm a newbie there at the lodge.
Just both those guys, all of them.
Yeah, that really brings credence to Elks are never forgotten, never forsaken.
No.
And it doesn't matter if you're new there or older, or whether you're involved like me. I jumped in early on, or you're just kind of hanging around. You like it there, so you show up. It's easy to make friends there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I see that a lot. And yeah, what a wonderful thing to be able to be a part of.
Yeah.
So is there are you looking to be an officer in the future?
Maybe down the road. You know, I got some got to deal with my mom. At some point, I need a knee replacement here because I can hardly walk anymore. So I'll have to deal with that first. And then maybe, we'll see.
Yeah. So as the years go by, what would you like to see? What would be the one improvement that kind of jumps out at you that you'd say, boy, I'd love to see the lodge do this. I think it would be great for the lodge.
Well, I'll be glad when we're open all the way again, of course. But I really don't have any visions of that. It'd be kind of cool to put a second story on that building. You know, it's made for it.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that it was that when it was originally built, it was built for a second story, and so you just have to put one up there.
Yeah, or maybe just a patio up there with a covered bar would be awesome.
Oh, now there's an idea. There's a bar at Oceanside that's like that, right?
Yeah, with the view we have, oh my gosh, that'd be awesome.
That would be something to shoot for.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Rick, I really appreciate your time just being on this conversation with me. I don't know if there's anything else that we didn't talk about that you wanted to add.
No, I just said I love the lodge, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And I hope all goes well with whenever you do get that knee replacement. But I just want to personally thank you for just being a friend to me from the very beginning. And that's always meant a lot to me. In fact, early on when I was introducing people, I would say, this is Rick. He was the first guy who came to me and befriended me and has ever since. So I just want to thank you publicly for that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
For all you do.
Oh, thank you. Well, take care, Rick.
Okay. Goodbye.
Well, there you go, friends. That's my conversation with Rick Rathbun. Hope you enjoyed it. He's a past lecturing knight, past loyal knight, past Elk of the Year, past club manager, and a guy who still does a lot around the lodge. He's a treasure at Vista Elks Lodge, and I'm glad you got this opportunity to get to know him a little bit. And if you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you want to know when more videos are coming your way, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in.